Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to In the Mix Mondays with financial advisor. I'm Al Moore and my good friend, attorney Lee Miller. Lee Miller, say what's up to the people.
What's up, people?
So basically, In the Mix Mondays is just we came together, decided to do kind of a virtual happy hour, but kind of put some substance with it. There were a couple of issues and things going on that we just wanted to address with the people and just kind of have time to touch base and talk with people who might have everyday issues regarding finances and regarding law topics that we can touch on and shed some light on to just kind of help people out. So we just kind of want to come to you guys' household twice a month on the second and fourth Mondays of the month. And we just be talking about things relevant to everyday people, from everyday finances and legal topics to things that get a little more in depth in terms of financing and how to go about relationships with financial advisors if that's something you're looking for, as well as attorneys. And so in the vein of virtual happy hour, we always have something in our mix. So that's when we invite you all to grab your libations, whatever that may be. In regards to what's in my mix this particular evening, I happen to have a gold rum and some green tea. This is also a judgment-free zone. So please don't judge me. This is just how I like to wind down and relax, but also hit our Gmail up. Let us know what it is that you like to wind down with. We want to know what's in your mix. And also don't forget to send us any questions you might have to our email account at inthemixmondays@gmail.com. And let's find out what's in Lee's mix today.
Today I kept it simple. Just some Remy Martin, VSOP. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but
they're not a sponsor, but that's a nice glass though. But I mean,
oh yeah, you drinking that mason jar over there, okay? So don't put my cognac in a wine glass.
I'm Southern. I'm not country. We drink out of mason jars, but I mean, I'm not a big money attorney, so I mean, when I get to the point where I can afford a wine glass, I know who to call to help me curate that. You know what I'm saying?
We'll see. All the dishes were dirty, so we had to work with what we had. Okay, I'm not gonna make no excuses. But yeah. So that's what's in my mix. Just one ice cube. That's how I typically like it. We want to add this segment, "What's in your mix?" because we think it's important for you to not only be in the mix, but also be informed while you're in the mix. So please, like Al said, email us, let us know what's in your mix. And also let us know any questions, commentary, or anything like that so that we can all be in the mix and be informed together.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So now that everybody's had a chance to grab their libation of choice, whether that be something that requires a mix or cocktail or water or Gatorade, whatever that might be, let's kind of get into some things.
All right, you got to tell them drink responsibly. You got to say that.
Drink responsibly, of course. To be in the mix of any age, but to be in the mix with a particular libation that involves alcohol, always be 21 and up. We strongly recommend that. We strongly discourage anybody that's not 21 from being in the mix with an alcoholic beverage.
Yes,
be responsible, everyone.
Got to say that.
Absolutely. So, in regards to finances in the moment right now, the big thing kind of going on is COVID-19. A lot of the calls that I've been getting have kind of been in regards to what should I be doing during COVID? Is it safe? What's the market like? What do you suggest? And so I kind of try to keep it basic around the 3 Bs. The best 3 things you can be doing right now. Budget, balance, and breathe. And I mean that literally and physically. Literally and figuratively. Take some time to inhale and exhale, because one, not being able to breathe properly is a sign that your respiratory system could be in distress, which could be a sign of COVID. So every day I implore you all to, let's say, take a deep breath and try to hold it for 10 seconds. And if you feel any pain or discomfort, you may want to seek medical attention. But also just to breathe in terms of, listen, though we've never seen something like COVID before in our lifetime here, dramatic things and pandemics have happened during the time of the market. And for different people, they mean different things. But the worst thing that you can do is be reactive instead of proactive. So just take some time to breathe. Deep breaths in, long deep breaths out, so you can properly assess what it is that you need to be doing, so that you can think clearly. That's one. Budget. I know, and it sounds as simple as it may be. Okay, Al, how's a budget going to help me? What does that mean? Well, a budget is more important now than ever. A lot of people have been facing difficulties in terms of employment. Some people have been furloughed. So income has changed. So the best thing that you can do when there's a possibility that your income may be going down and your expenses may be increasing, the best thing that you can do is really solidify that budget. And sometimes automation is kind of the best thing for that. I tell people some personal budgeting apps that I use for myself. I use an app called Mint, M-I-N-T. That's made by Intuit, the same people that make TurboTax. They also make an app called Mint, where you can put all of your accounts in, and it'll give you graphs and charts to kind of show you where your money is spending, and it kind of electronically, you can set budgets and margins for yourself. And when you get close to hitting those, you can make your settings as to where it'll send you a message or a text or an email just saying, hey, you're this close to this budget. But why that's so important is because to be in full control of your finances, you have to know what's going in and what's coming out. The biggest detriment you can do to yourself right now is to have a shift in something and not have a plan for exactly how much you can spend. If you're getting unemployment benefits, see exactly what those benefits are and rework your budget to that. See what can kind of give and what can take in terms of these things. Or if you've worked out some kind of arrangements on your mortgage or things like that, make sure to incorporate those changes, even though temporary, into your budget. And thirdly, to balance those things. Go through your checkbook to make sure that all the numbers do add up. You should have a flat balance to zero. Everything that's come out should match your records. Keeping a record of what you're spending and part of what your budget helps to create that balance, so that all the income and all the expenses that you have, they should all line up. If you see something that's out of whack, you say, well, I only spent so much, and it's saying that I spent this off. Go back through your electronic bank records. Any bank that you should be with at the time, even if you get paper statements, there should still be an e-statement available for you online. So go and check those. And a lot of times, even the paper copies have what's an old school balance ledger on the back. So you can write in all of your expenses. Can it be kind of tedious at times? Yes. Is it worth doing in terms of having record of what went on? Absolutely. And just those kind of three simple things will kind of give you a peace of mind into how to proceed and what's going on. So those are kind of the first of the 3 B's: breathe, budget, and balance, just to kind of get yourself back to square one. And also, additionally, right now at annualcreditreport.com, they are giving weekly free credit checks, well, credit reports, I should say. Now, you won't get your number for free, but weekly they've worked out a deal with the government to where they'll have your 3 bureau reports. That's your Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. You can check those weekly for free, which I think originally you could get maybe 1 a year or 1 a month maybe, but I know they've never done it for the week. And they've done this for 2 reasons. One, because in times like these, fraud is immense. People may start to panic and information may get lost, or they may start talking to people about certain things, and your information can be compromised. So checking those 3 bureaus weekly just to see, make sure nothing new has come up, make sure that you're in good standing is an awesome thing to be doing right now. Like I said, the biggest part about being in control financially is just knowing what all is going on. And so I would advise you all to keep that in mind, to something like you might want to think of doing. Nextly, just not freaking out. Freaking out right now will not help you. I know it may kind of seem like a good thing to do to express yourself, but freaking out or making rash decisions right now isn't the best thing to do. In terms of just kind of where we are, I think a lot of the panic, some of the panic has subsided, but there's still kind of people making kind of frivolous decisions. Just try and keep your mental capacity in the space to where we're planning on coming out of this. So, I mean, I'm not telling you to act like everything is fine and nothing's wrong, but I'm telling you that you do yourself a disservice to become Chicken Little and just say the sky's falling. Because, I mean, one of two things. You're either going to be right or you're going to be wrong. You're either going to be right and COVID wipes us all out and you don't have to worry about your money anyway because all of us will be gone. But what if you're wrong? What if this is something that we come out of and next year society is somewhat back to normal and you may have squandered or made rash decisions with what you had and now you kind of have to live the rest of your life. Or at least in the meantime, trying to get back to square one or figure out what's going on. So just try and keep a calm mind as much as possible, whether that means reaching out to a local professional that you know. A lot of guys and other advisors that I know are doing free consultations, just kind of talking with people through this time to disseminate information and just kind of assess where you are. Because like I said, everyone's situation is different. So back to the 3 Bs. Just breathe and seek professional help. You know, if it's something that's really on your mind or some questions that you really have, feel free to reach out to somebody, a professional, not just necessarily your local social media celebrity, but somebody who actually is a professional in the field that can actually help you and talk you through some things. So in addition to that freaking out thing, if you're not 55 years old, don't go to run to check your 401k every day. It's only going to agitate you more, and you're not in a position where you're going to need it anytime soon. If you're not retiring in the next 5 to 7 years, you know, checking your 401k balance at work is of no service to you. Like I said, we've seen these moments before. It's called a correction in the market where things kind of pull back, but there's so much time left, especially if you're younger in retirements, 10 plus years away from you, 5 to 10 plus years away from you. There's no need to hit the panic button, and you know that's only going to add added stress. When you look in there and see that you might be down a certain percentage, it's only going to add to, you know, the stress on yourself. And stress is actually bad because it lowers your immune system. So, in any way that you can, try to eliminate stress to keep yourself happy and healthy. So, just a little market perspective, just in terms of looking at things of what's happened and like what does this look like in other areas before. So, so in the Great Depression, back in 1929 when the market crashed, it was an 89% decline. That's back in 1929. From the peak, the market went down 89%. Black Monday of 1987, it went down 31%. The Great Recession in the 2000s, it declined 49% of the Great Recession.
So, Brother Al,
yes, sir.
For the slow kids, you just giving me percents and saying the market went down. So is this bad, real bad? Like, explain to me how bad this is. Because I don't know the numbers, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know exactly. So how bad is that?
Okay, so the Great Recession, it pulled back 49%. That means the major market indexes were at a certain number, and they lost 49% of their value.
So if I had $1, I lost 49% of that dollar. Is that what you're saying?
You went from $1 to 51 cents. Absolutely.
Okay.
And so between February 11th and March 12th of this year, the decline for the coronavirus has just been 28%. So in terms of the worst thing we're ever seen, it's really not. I mean, have we necessarily hit the bottom? That's up for debate. You know, I'm not necessarily a market guru. I don't ever try to time the market or say when exactly hit the floor. But I'm saying that in terms of extinction level event, this is the worst thing that ever happened, is actually not. Does that mean that it can't get worse? No, it could, but just keep it in perspective. And in the last couple of weeks, we've kind of saw some returns kind of gathered back. It's still very volatile, but that's just to give some perspective in terms of this necessarily, at this point, this isn't the worst thing we've ever seen. So some bleak optimism where we can grab it, we should take it. And so, but what that essentially means is a lot of indicators have us in a bearish state, which essentially just means that people aren't necessarily favorable on the market. So that means that things have gotten a lot cheaper. Shares and stocks and companies that may have been really expensive, the summer of last year, might be moderately reasonable now. So, and just depending on your particular style of investing or what you like or your aptitude for it, it's worth kind of looking at some equities and saying, hey, okay, my income now is stable, or I have, a legitimate amount of savings. For some people who are looking to maybe explore the market right now, it's probably one of the better times because things are cheaper. Now, volatile still, so you shouldn't expect to be a millionaire overnight, but it gives you perspective in terms of, I may be able to afford things now that maybe I couldn't earlier. And if I just wanted to kind of throw some dollars into the market, into some different kind of companies or equities, without them being super expensive, this might just be a time to do that. Like I said, always talk to a local professional in your area just to see, what's right for you. But definitely talk to somebody about that to see what options that you may have. And so lastly, just in the another piece of good news is from the housing industry. While the coronavirus took a big bite out of spring home buying season, the real estate industry appears to be poised to recover, in some parts for the pandemic. Mortgage application loans used to finance the purchase of a home have increased in recent weeks, and that's from the Mortgage Bankers Association. Home search activity has also recovered, while listing views for single-family homes and condos up 30%, and that's according to Realtor.com. And so essentially what they're just saying is a big part of how we kind of gauge the market is kind of what's going on with real estate and mortgages. Refinancing might be a part of some people's plans. Like I said, whenever the market kind of goes down, you might be able to save some on rates. So this is about looking for opportunity where you can find it in times of volatility. So when things get cheaper, you might be at a higher rate for your mortgage. You might be at 4 or 5%. It might be worth, calling your mortgage person or your realtor and saying, hey, I'm not sure what my rate is. I might be in a position where I can save a little money. It makes some sense for people. It doesn't for some. But people applying for mortgages and construction companies applying for new permits to build is always a good sign. Whenever construction is going on, that's a good sign. We want to have that in the economy. It just creates a lot of branches of e-com flow from the contractors, suppliers, builders. It's a lot of people, a lot of industries who get some kind of compensation from just the construction of a home. So you always want that to be positive and be in the good. So that's another point of optimism for now. That's doing good. So that gives me pause to think that things aren't as horrible as they may seem at the moment. They're not ideal, certainly, but I think consumer confidence is trying to come back as the country reopens. That can mean a lot of things. A lot of people are kind of aware or skeptical about a second wave, and I'm not a medical expert, so I can't say the severity of that. But for the moment, there are some things to be optimistic about. Unemployment is still a bad thing, and that's, of course, going to wear on the economy. But there are some things to just kind of look forward to and to hope that continue to trend upward, to kind of give us some more comfortability in moving forward out of this thing. And so I think that's about all I have on the finance side of things, Lee. So I'm gonna turn it over to you. we're gonna get into some legal issues. What you got for me?
Okay, then. Appreciate that. Good talk, Al. Good talk. First of all, thank everybody for tuning in. As always, your official, unofficial disclaimer: this is not to be used, substituted as legal or financial advice. You have not paid myself or Al and don't have a written contract. So please don't assume that you have hired a financial advisor or an attorney to help you with your very specific issue. I say it with a smile on my face, but trust me, I'm not smiling at you. Those are like shark teeth. So
that means every word. Mean every word. Absolutely. Go ahead.
That was the first part. So yeah, let's get into it with the legal issues. I work for a firm that focuses mostly on family law and criminal law, but also on the side, I do some business consulting and also trying to grow our estate planning practice at the firm as well. So a couple issues I want to jump into. Just finished a holiday weekend, so I want to talk about that a little bit as far as the family issues and also with the criminal defense side as well. So fellas, and in some cases ladies, if you're thinking about proposing over holidays or anything like that, please be careful with these types of situations, because if you're in current litigation with ex-spouse or someone that you have created a child with, be prepared for the legal ramifications. It is 2020, so a lot of times we find ourselves in situationships, and so a situation that you thought was good and cool may take a turn for the worse when you post your new love of your life on your social media account, or now, something that once was a private situation is now a very public situation. So I want you to be prepared for the legal ramifications of that. Also, be prepared. You got something to say, Al?
No, I'm just listening to you. I wonder what are some of the legal ramifications of that situationship.
So if you're in a joint custody situation, right? Oh, so let's say you have in joint custody, but you don't have an agreed order on how custody is handled, and or you're not on child support, right? Because you got a great relationship with the person that you created this child with, but once you have now been public with your new relationship and your newfound love for someone that's not this person, you can now be prepared that there's going to be a child support order probably in place, and there also will be some issues with visitation, right? Rightfully so, though, because what we want to do is focus on the health, welfare of the children. And so we don't know this new person that you're bringing into their lives, although they may have already been in their lives. But now that it's public information, that is something to look at. Also, you don't know people's traditions and how they do things at their homes. So you may decide, okay, I'm going to, sporadically propose at a family cookout, not realizing this might not be the place that you want to do that, fam. Our family don't really roll like that. You ain't talked to grandma. You didn't ask, you haven't talked to the dad or mom or whoever and got clearance to be proposing. There are some very traditional families, and I just want you to not set yourself up for failure.
Okay. It could get zesty.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The next thing I want to talk about is during these times of COVID and also during the holiday season, let's somewhat delay on divorces, breakups, and serving people with papers when it can be avoided. So if you feel the need to break up or separate, try to wait until things kind of level out, but I definitely don't want you to be involved in a situation that puts your life in danger or your family in danger. So if you must push the button and eject, by all means do so, but just be reasonable and take into consideration the times that we're living in and what's going on around you.
Hey, Lee, I got a quick question.
Okay.
In terms of people who may be engaging in some sort of litigation in regards to family court, if that guy or that girl is looking to escape their unsavory partner, what are the timelines for maybe getting into court? I mean, especially here in Little Rock, are the timelines for seeing the judge, are they back normal or are they extended, or what does that look like?
So they are not back to normal. Typically for a divorce, it takes about 30 days and a week or so. Just depends on how hard it is to get the other person served. The court will take an emergency hearing, but you have to meet the criteria to get an emergency hearing. And then also, you would need to have all of your facts and stuff in order. I had a client come in last week that was just ready to get a divorce because I think his wife was getting a big screen TV installed by a repairman, and so who's getting big screen TVs in the midst of the COVID, let alone getting installed? Like he said, the guy had insurance. So I don't know, you know, but like I just told him to take what'd you say, breathe, balance, and what's the other one?
Budget.
So I just let him know, like, hey, listen, divorces aren't cheap. So you need to budget, you need to balance and think what was going on. But also, if this is what you want to do, let's get it done. And so he's like, I want it done today. Well, sir, we got a server with papers. We at least 30 days, right? At the very minimum, it's going to take 30 days. And so then in the midst of that, he also, you know, told me some other things. And I was like, well, you may not want to do that right now. You might want to take care of that. And then let's move forward with your divorce. And so, and then he had more questions. And I told him, well, sir, you have reached your 2 free question limit. And so at this point, you would need to retain me, or I have no further comment. And so, you know, he ended up retaining me. Big thing. So it's, you know, 2 questions and that's it on my end. But no, so timing is very important too. And that's why I'm saying with the delay in the holiday, because it's a holiday weekend, you got COVID going on, they are not back to normal. But at the very minimum, you're looking at about 30 days typically for a divorce.
Okay.
So that's dealing with that. Also, I want to talk about child custody and grandparent visitation. That's real big right now once COVID. Unfortunately, we've been losing a lot of our grandparents. And so we want to make sure that the grandparents get an opportunity to spend quality time with the grandkids. And also, if you're dealing with issues with child custody, make sure that you have an agreed order in place, some screenshots, text messages, anything like that kind of have some basis for us to go off of. Because right now we're social distancing. And so one parent could think that her allowing visitation was putting the kids in danger. Rightfully so, right? I mean, that I could see an argument for that. But at the same time, you don't want to deny a parent the opportunity to spend quality time with their children, right? Also, with grandparents, some grandparents are just being completely cut off from experiencing their grandkids due to strained relationships with the parents after a divorce or after a breakup or anything like that. And so we want to be reasonable under the circumstance and take into consideration that children need as many people around them as possible that love and care about them for them to grow and be nurtured and all those good things. So that's pretty much what I have on the legal side. So take into account that it's the holiday. Also, with your divorce and things like that, make sure you take a deep breath. Don't make irrational decisions. Child custody, we want everybody to be reasonable under the circumstances. And also, let's not forget about the grandparents and their visitations. So that's where we at. Now, to kind of switch gears, I'm talk about some legal issues, criminal defense issues. So the first issue is not necessarily criminal. It could get there, but I want to talk about job discrimination and things like that going on right now during COVID. So if you feel like you're being discriminated against at your job or your workplace, make sure you document it and you visit the EEOC office in Little Rock or wherever you're located. I know we got friends all over, but make sure you reach out to someone and get sound legal advice, not from your baby sister, cousin, Tracy. You need to actually talk to a licensed professional about what you should do, because these are unprecedented times. And so your job manager may be calling on you to do things that are not in your job description and requiring you to do things that are above and beyond the call of duty that you have contracted to perform. So you want to make sure that you're not being overworked and underpaid, mistreated, discriminated against, or any of those things. So I want everybody to be aware of that. Also, this may be the time to start asking about a raise. I understand that a lot of businesses are in a financial crunch, but also know your rights. I mean, so this would be the time to be discussing your work history, your value to the company, what you bring, your experience, and more money. There's nothing wrong with having that conversation. Next thing we want to talk about, this is kind of falls under family, criminal. This is kind of a mixed bag. I've been getting a lot of issues with this recently. Fans only pages, okay? We got to talk about it. And also up and coming meal prep companies. Do I participate? What do I do with meal prep companies?
Well, so is there
I patronize meal prep.
Is there a connection between OnlyFans and meal prep? Are they both equally?
So the connection is an entrepreneurial new wave of entrepreneurs.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry. So the new wave is entrepreneurs, the new wave of entrepreneurs, and money is being made. So whenever money is being made, the government gets involved. So when you have an OnlyFans page, again, you may have open litigation, custody, prior charges, all of these things with your OnlyFans page. So a parent could deem that now that's not a safe environment for their child to be in because you have an OnlyFans page. Now, it's perfectly legal to have an OnlyFans page. But are you reporting your taxes properly? Have you seen a financial advisor? What does your paperwork say? Or are you defrauding the government and not reporting this money? Are you tax evasion? Are you what you don't want to do is something very small to grow into something very big with these OnlyFans pages, right? Because a lot of people not paying taxes on that money. So you want to be very, very careful with that. Also, you could be sued. You say that you are providing a service and the quality control of that service may not be as up to par in your description as to what you're supposed to be doing.
It could be subjective.
Very, very, very much so. So you want to prepare yourself. Also, with the meal prep companies and everybody wants to cook and be a chef now. If you don't have the proper licensing, you can open yourself up to litigation because somebody could get sick, food poisoning, food allergies. I don't eat pork. So like if one guy ordered meal prep when he grills, I don't order when he's grilling pork, beef, everything on the same grill because you just cross-contaminating the meat. So, I mean, some people don't really care about that kind of thing, but if I had a legit allergy, right, I could get really sick. And then because you're not a formed corporation or LLC or any of that, an attorney could then sue you for your personal assets and not just your business assets. So make sure that you got the proper corporate entity to protect yourself. And then paying taxes. Again, whenever there's money being made, the government is involved. So don't think for 1 second that you can make all this money, meal prepping out of your home, and you don't have to pay any taxes because people will tell on you. And then you'll have to call and hire me months later, and I can only work with what's there. I can track your social media, and you have been meal prepping for the past 6 months. I cannot convince a judge anywhere that, a meal prep costs $25. You've been doing it for 6 months, and you want to tell me you only made $1,000. It's going to be hard. It's going to be a hard argument. And the way
so I have a question.
Okay.
To that vein, how often or how impactful is social media in terms of court? Is social media something that's used often in terms of evidence against somebody, or do courts not necessarily look at social media, or how impactful can social media be to somebody in litigation?
It is extremely impactful, and we always use it. If your name is C Murder and you want to convince a jury that you didn't kill a person, it's going to be an uphill battle because you are publicly allowing people to call you C Murder, right?
I can see how that could get spicy.
I mean, and it's so are you not C Murder? What is your real name, or what is it that you do, right? Mm-hmm. Again, with with OnlyFans page, it says that you. I don't know. I'm gonna get off the OnlyFans page, but let's get to the meal prep. You say that
a lot of them,
right? You say you prepare ribs, lobster tails. These are expensive meats, right? So how much are you selling them for? You can't get lobster tail and ribs for $5. So, right. And this is your menu. Also, your menu that you post on social media shows your prices, and then you will also then post sold out. So what exactly did you sell out of? How many you're selling out? 5, 10, 100? Now we got to explain to a jury what you may or may not have sold. We got to explain this and why you didn't think you had to pay taxes. So you have to be really careful with what you're doing. And then if you get sued, I got sick because I have a gluten allergy. I don't know. You just have, and so now you don't have, you didn't form an LLC. You didn't go see any legal advice. So now somebody wants to sue you for $20,000. $20,000 could bankrupt a lot of people right now. You had to fork over 20 grand. It could bankrupt you. And right. So that's what you have to shoot. 5,000 on the wrong day would get me in trouble.
Right.
So, and not to mention most Americans live, and it's not to poke fun of anybody or anything like that, but I think it was last I checked, like 74% or something. Over 50% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. So a $5,000 lawsuit would hurt a lot of us. So you just have to don't set yourself up for failure. You know what I'm saying? We want to be proactive and not reactive. So that's that. Also, with your businesses. So that was again, this is not to scare you, but to prepare you. So that was the kind of prepare you part / scare you part. But this is also the prepare you part. Make sure that you get incorporated properly with the state, proper licenses, licensing. Make sure you get your trademarks, federal, state. Make sure you are protected. You don't want people stealing your logo, stealing your business, any of that type of thing. And so you want to make sure that you do that. And also, don't think that your legal problem will just go away. It bothers me when clients come into my office and they say, well, I thought it was just going to work itself out. I thought it was just, we was cool. I thought it was going to go away. No, it doesn't happen like that. It does not happen like that. And so I want you to be prepared. All right. So my phone about to die. So
that's something I think called a summary judgment, correct? Is when somebody doesn't show up for something and the other side wins.
So no, that would be a default judgment when you don't show up. Okay. Summary judgment means you didn't have any evidence to protect yourself. Voila. You didn't have enough evidence, and that the judge could just look, don't trust. Okay. The judge just look. Am I back? Is there any problems?
Yeah, you bet.
That means that the judge could just look at what it was worth face value, and it just wasn't enough there to rule in your favor. That there's no jury, because actually, I don't know how deep you want to get into summary judgment, but it's an extraordinary thing because your case can't go to the jury because the judge can look at it on face value and say, we will waste the jury's time to look at this. Okay. And so we just gonna dead your case right now. And so that's actually an extraordinary thing, actually, summary judgment. But yeah, so default judgment, summary judgment. And not to be, a lot of people get default judgments all the time. They think that just not going to court is going to go away. And that's not true. You would just end up having to pay more because they could have speculated the numbers or, inflated the numbers. And so now you're stuck with something that should have been a $500 settlement. Now it is a $3,000 judgment against you. So you want to get on top of things when you can. Next thing I want to get into, I'm going to get a little thirsty here. Next thing we want to get into is scams. All right. Let's be careful, everybody. Family, we got to protect ourselves, protect our assets. That's why I'm glad Al is here to talk about financial advising. Stop taking advice. Well, there's nothing wrong with taking advice. Stop acting on unsound advice from unlicensed professionals. Now, you can get as many opinions as you would like, but don't just follow people and what they say when they don't prove to you that they don't have any validity in what they're saying that they can do. And so one of the scams that's happening right now is telling people that they can get you approved through the SBA. All of these things are free. So you just go to the websites. You can get help with them, but don't just let people think that they got a cheat code to get the stimulus money. That's not true. Also, on the legal side, if you were scammed out of your stimulus money and have not received it, which that came up a lot of people, make sure you give me a call or another attorney. We can take people to court who are not releasing your stimulus funds that prepared your taxes. That's not right. It's not fair. And so you need to stand up and say something about that. Also, watch out for just scams in general. People are I've been getting emails about I need to update my Apple password or my account is missing or Amazon lost my package. Be mindful, guys. If Amazon loses your package, they're probably gonna call you, right? But then you just verify it. Don't just up and change your passwords or do things because they know that people are at home, bored, nothing to do, sitting on their phone and the internet, and you just clicking stuff. Do not fall for that. Someone sent my grandma and said she won the lottery in Puerto Rico and that they needed, $300 to transfer her $10,000 money from Puerto Rican money to American money. And I said, Granny, why wouldn't they just transfer it themselves and just send you the change? Why they need your money? Well, they said they just wanted a little bit. So, it's to get the $10,000. I said, that don't make sense. That don't make sense. Yeah. But the fact that I had to be there, that she was about to do it. So protect your grandma.
No, you protect your grandma and me. I got an email. Apparently, I still have a trunk full of gold from Nigeria at the Philadelphia International Airport, which I'm not even sure that it exists. But a gentleman from baggage claim in Philadelphia International Airport did send me an email saying that he could either mail the trunk to me. I would just have to give him $500 for shipping, or he could drive it down himself, and we could just split it 80-20. He just needed my bank account routing and account number to get some gas money. So
to get some gas. See what I'm saying? And if you're not paying attention, somebody be like, "Well, that sounds legit, right?" Like, no, stop it, y'all. So be very, very careful. Before I get out of here, I did my thing on Friday to kind of get warmed up for this. And so I talked about Lil Boosie and Dwayne Wade. So you can go back and watch that on my Friday freestyle. But something just came up with Kobe and TMZ. His parents or somebody took some of his memorabilia and just sold it, auctioned it off for $206,000 change, I think, something like that. And so I just want to raise the point of question to you all. Back up. They tried to do this once before. He sued them and stopped him.
I thought this happened like while he was alive. That happened with his mom or something.
That was the first time. But he sued them because he was alive and stopped them from being able to do it.
Okay.
Well, now he passed on. And guess what happened?
They tried it again?
No, I ain't tried it. They did it and sold his stuff. And so that brings us to the point about your estate planning. So make sure that you have an estate plan in place. Make sure that you have put a legal team and say, hey, I want these things carried out in the event of me passing on. You let someone know, because that was something that I was pretty sure if he was still alive, he wouldn't go for it, right? But because he's not here to fight for it, his wife is grieving. Now it's a free-for-all. And so you need to have a plan in place where you can hire somebody like me or Al and say, hey, listen, I need you under limited authority, limited power of attorney. If anybody try to sell anything, I need you to go to court and fight it. You pay the retainer and it's there. Because you have to protect your assets as much as you can, even when you're not here. Now, you just can't protect things in perpetuity, as Brother Al always say. But you can have some things in place and somewhat of a plan to protect your assets. Now, on the flip side of that, once you give somebody something, you can't tell them what they can and can't do. So I'm not really sure how he was able to come up with a legal argument to stop the auction in the first place. But you do need to realize that, A, you need to have an estate plan in place, power of attorney, because anything can happen to you. Accidents do happen. And B, once you give someone something, your power and authority to tell them what they can and cannot do with it is very, very limited. And so that's my legal 2 cents. You got any questions or anything? Or misleave something out?
No, I mean, there was a wealth of information. I'm sure a lot of people probably are, if not in some of those situations, probably know somebody that's in to kind of think on. But it definitely gave me some perspective on some things that I was unaware of in regards to the legal world. So, yeah, that was chock full of jewels. We appreciate that. So we're going to move into our last segment here. It's called the Monday Minute, which is just Brother Lee and I just kind of take turns alternated between the last minute of the show. We try to keep it to 60 seconds where we just, sometimes it may be a rant, sometimes it may be some pearls of wisdom, or sometimes it just may be some pep talk that we think people need. And I was kind of going back and forth about what the Monday Minute would be. And I thought about ranting. Like I said earlier, COVID has taken a lot of stuff from us. Panera Bread's still here. I don't get it.
Because the blueberry muffins are delicious. Have you had a blueberry muffin from Panera Bread?
I'm not sure what contingency of people that have a strong desire for hospital cuisine that just have to have
chili. Have you not had the turkey chili?
I've had some things before.
You ordered the wrong stuff. Cause see, you haven't had the blueberry muffin. I see you avoided that question.
No, they have
Philly.
every now and then I might, help myself to a pastry, but I'm just not really sure what the business model of, like, because sometimes I talk to people and they say, oh man, their blueberry muffins are awesome. And then some people say, oh, I had the best sandwich with dandelions and arugula. And, and it serves its purpose, I'm sure. Doesn't do much for me. They do have good, I think, broccoli and cheese soup.
Yes.
But I don't ever need anything.
In a bread bowl.
I don't ever need a bread bowl. I've never sat home and thought to myself, this soup is okay. But actually, I would actually like a mound of baked bread and cut a hole in it and pour my soup in it and eat it out of there. That has never crossed my mind.
But when you eat soup, do you think you need crackers or bread or toast or something to go with it?
Toast, no. Have I helped myself to an oyster cracker in my day? Sure. Is it mandatory? Yes. But do I have to pour my soup in a baguette to get the bang for my buck? Absolutely not. Because, I don't understand. Is it like I don't want to wash dishes thing? And then I just feel like eating a whole portion of soup and then eating the bowl made of bread, it just seems nuts.
Okay.
It's such an involved thing to get yourself into. It's one, like, to have a soup bowl is like, oh, okay. But imagine going on your first date with a girl and y'all go to Panera Bread, you get your blueberry muffin, and she gets some tomato soup in the bread bowl. She finishes the soup and starts to deconstruct the bread bowl and eat it. So now there's literally, she ate, or he, everything that came out is gone.
Okay, so you don't have to eat the whole bread bowl. You eat the inside. You don't eat you've been doing this all wrong.
Okay, but so then you're being wasteful. So you mean to tell me somebody just baked a whole baguette for you to put your soup in, and you ate the soup out of it, and now in the midst of COVID and people not having no food, you're gonna throw away a half a loaf of bread. See, it's like you just see how it's just kind of all over the place. It's just kind of nuts.
Okay, all right.
So, but I'm not gonna rant about Panera Bread. Some people like it. I love it. They have a nice hibiscus tea. It's good for hydration. That's fine. What I want to talk about is usefulness versus uselessness.
A word. Talk to us, doctor. That's heavy. That's heavy.
It is. A patron saint by the name of Brother Bill Withers, God bless his soul. He once said, just keep on using me till you use me up. Now I know at first that comes across with a negative connotation. You're like, well, I don't want to be used. I'm a person with feelings. I don't like to be used. But let's flip the perspective in a way. I would surmise that actually someone calling upon you to use you might actually be one of the highest compliments somebody can pay to you. What we want to do, we want to avoid being manipulated. And I think often the two intersect. Manipulation is completely self-serving without any regard for the other person. But using something, for instance, this pen, I've used it. I haven't devalued the pen. I have people that I use for advice. I have people that I use for entertainment. have people that I use for networking. I have people who I use for knowledge that have expertise in an area that I don't have. And I deeply and truly value all of those people. And on the inverse of that, there are people who use me for things, whether it might be, you know, advice or service or products, or to connect them with somebody I know. And I think one of the highest purpose that we can serve on this planet is to be of use. So don't run, especially in times of COVID right now, we should always look for ways that we can be useful to people, and not be manipulated, not be mistreated, but to be of use, be of service. A wise man once told me, you're here to learn to give. And if you're not useful, you just might be useless. So that's the Monday Minute, man. I want to thank everybody for tuning in and catching us here in the Mix Mondays. We hope that you guys got something out of this and enjoyed it. We're looking forward to getting back to you guys in 2 weeks. Make sure to go and like the page, find us on Instagram in the Mix Mondays. And if you have any questions, we want you guys to be a part of the conversation. So make sure that you can either hit our inbox on Facebook or Instagram, or send us an email to inthemixmondays@gmail.com. Somewhere on the screen, either before or after, we'll put the information, just so we want to hear from you guys, want to hear what's going on and hear from you. Last words, Brother Lee.
And if you want to be a useful person and be a guest on our show, make sure you email us and let us know what expertise you have or what you can add to the conversation. Because again, we want to have fun, but we also want to be informative and have substance to pass to the people. And so that's my 2 cents.
Absolutely. So with that being said, from your favorite co-host, from your favorite virtual happy hour, raise a toast to you, my brother. Hope you guys enjoyed the mix. We will catch you guys next time. Be safe, be blessed, and prosper.
All right. Signing off.